What's good, people? So bbrights and I am back with a brand new video. Today we're going to be working on part 5 of our SaberZ from start to finish track. Last episode I did say I was going to be working on the break and start getting the break going, but for this episode I've decided to continue the drop, work on it a bit more and get it better sounding on how I actually wanted it, so we can actually move on without having to worry or just think about improving this. Obviously in the end we're going to do some final improvements, but for this episode we're going to be working on the drop a bit more. I'm going to be adding some drop stabs, adding one more layer to the kick just to give it a bit more power, adding a few more drums and elements, doing a little technique here with this kick that I said I was going to do, and maybe finish by adding some effects so the drop will be close to be finished so we can move on and then we'll be alright. I realised also in my previous episode that people have been asking for the local recording sample pack, so if you click in the description I'll put a link to download the sample pack because people have been saying they couldn't find it or it's down and they can't download it anymore, so I'm going to help everyone out and put that in the description. So check the link there, download it and you'll be able to have it. So I hope you enjoy that. But rather than that, let's just get straight into part 5. So from last episode we worked on the drop synths, and like I said last episode they're not fully complete. I'm still going to change them. I need to work on the reverb more, do a bit more processing, but last episode it was sounding like this. So yeah, that's what they sound like. I also see last episode that someone said not to have the peak controller playing at 100% and getting rid of the entire reverb like this. He said maybe try it at 50%, so we might give that a go. Just want to get clean sounding reverb so it doesn't get in the way of the mix and anything and start muddying it up. But for now we're going to mute the drop leads, bring them down a couple tracks, and we're going to start working on the kick quickly. We're just going to look for another tonal layer to give it a bit more power. So the one I have in mind, you lot might be aware of a producing duo called Jackson Vega. They had an Essentials pack come out a few years ago, but they have a bunch of kicks. This one right here. They have every key. We're in the key of E. So we're going to rob that kick. Well, I wouldn't say rub, but we're going to use that kick. And we're going to take all the low end out, we're going to use just the tonal layer of it. We're going to call this E tone 2. Just so we can get a bit more power in the kick. So if we move all these drums up one because of my OCD. FL Studio OCD is the worst. Slot that in right there. The decent kick on its own, but we have our main kick right here. We're just going to add this layer in. We're going to maybe do a tiny bit of processing just to give it a bit more power. So we don't need any of the sub. And we don't need the attack. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing, put it on generic. Fade it up right there so it's in the same as that one, like that. We're going to add the same LFO tool so it fits in well. And now we can do a bit of processing. Obviously this frequency here is the E tone of the frequency, but we want these upper harmonics here. And to get that we're going to do a tiny bit of, we're going to bring this down, we're going to do a tiny bit of fat dist. Brings out them upper harmonics, and now we can you can hear there, it's giving that upper harmonics. Then we're going to add one more EQ and booster at the 1000 Hz range. And do a tiny dip in the 240 Hz range. That adds the extra power that we wanted. We can make changes as always. This isn't the final thing. We obviously need to do the changes to the pitch as well of the kick that was done before. So I believe it was this one here. So I'm pretty sure it goes to the G, then to the D. So we're going to make a unique, copy that over. G tone, put it on stretch, pitch it up 3. And then make another unique. And we're going to pitch this down 2. So the only problem here is you heard the this one has tone. The G has a bit more tone because we pitched it up, and then you lose it all here in the D. So what we might have to do is drag in we may have to process this one individually, but for now we'll leave it for now because that'll waste too much time. But we may have to do some extra processing on that one specific kick just to give it that extra harmonics that we need. But for now it sounds like this. Now we can copy this over. And we're going to link this E to this pitch automation so we don't have to create another one. So what we're going to do is put it on stretch, pitch range 3, right click, link to controller. And we're going to link it to the SaberZ subkick E, do that. Nice link to this pitch automation that fits this one as well. Now it sounds like this. So now that kick hits a little harder. Again, it's not the final, subject to change, but that is what we have. Next we're going to be working on some stabs to complement these drop leads. Actually, before we do that, I reckon we should work on this kick here, just so I can get an idea of what it's going to sound like. So with the drop leads, as you can see, there's a gap right here on the start of the second half of the 4 bars. So what I might do is pitch the kick up just a little bit so it sounds like a little bit like this. Again, I might do a quick edit because I don't know how long this is going to take until I get the perfect sound, so I'll let you know. So we may have to link. So we'll see how this sounds. That could work. I might make a quick edit just so I can get it perfect, and yeah, I'll speak to you in a second. So yeah, what I've decided to do is take the E tone out of the first hit, so it actually gives like a nice contrast. So it plays and then it cuts out and then it comes back in and it gives it a nice effect. Sounds like this. So it actually gives a nice effect when it doesn't play on the first hit then comes back in. And it obviously does a nice call and response to this melody. It gives it a nice effect. Perfect, so now we can actually move on to the drop stabs. So yeah, the two stabs I found are coincidentally from the local recordings one, just because they sounded the best. I wanted not necessarily new sounding stabs, but I didn't want like the same Kashmir one that people use and quite a lot of people use. As much as it sounds incredible, I didn't really want to use it. I might layer it up with one more, but at the moment I cannot find it. So that's going to be later. I might have to make an edit if I find it, but the two stabs sound like this, bearing in mind they're both in D sharp, so I have to pitch them up one semitone to get them to E. And that fits perfectly because our kicks do the exact same pitch bend. What we've got to do is pitch this up one, I believe. Yeah. So now it sounds like this. You just need to stretch this a bit more because you can see it's not as in time. Let's stretch this. Put the stretch mode on. Hold Alt to get rid of any things, so we can drag it into place ourselves like that. Reset the pitch, and then it should sound like this. So what we need to do here, we need to either come up with something that fits this kick because this pitch is up and doesn't fit the stab, or we won't have a stab at all. We'll figure that out soon. But that's actually very, very helpful that this stab does the same kick that the R kick does. That's very helpful. Now we have this one, which needs to cut and chop and do all the other stuff. So we can just chop that and do the same thing. Auto, turn it to stretch, pitch out one. Now it's in E. So perfect. We're going to make this a nice blue, make this a nice blue. And what I might have to do as well, I might have to replace the FabFilter Saturn because it does make my CPU go crazy. So we may have to replace that with like a Camel Crusher or something. It does the same effect, it's just at the moment it's making my CPU go crazy because we're recording as well. Like that, so yeah. So the difference you can hear without it is very significant. But we've got the drop stabs there for now. What I want to do now is get some effects going. Let's get a crowd going. I'm going to look in the this one here, Martin Garrix Essentials, Effects, Crowd. We're going to fit this to 4 bars. We might get rid of the first stab as well because we want to make this kick a very like the four like the main focus of that specific part there. And as it sounds quite odd that it comes straight back in there, we're going to cut this out and then the stab's going to play again. That could be where the stab plays actually, it could come in the second half. And it fills that gap in as well very nicely. So you see there how the stab clashes with the kick, so we're going to have to find some sort of replacement for that or some sort of fix. Bearing in mind we are basing this off the SaberZ track journey, so we may have to listen back to our reference and see what they do in their drop. So let's do that now. So I just listened to the SaberZ journey drop for about a couple minutes and I'm just picking my brains just to find out any small details they do in the drop. And the main things I noticed is at the end of the fourth bar they do a small filter automation on the leads. You can hear very, very like high-end chords complementing this part as well, like the little harmony section here. They also do the classic chords feel section where it builds a nice bridge and it makes you want to hear the root key of E again, or in their case in Journey it's D sharp, we just pitched it up one. Also hear claps on the 2 and the 4, which we just have straight claps at the moment, just doing this. So we need to add some more claps. Also stab effect, they have a really, really nice stab effect coming in at the second bar that complements the next part of the melody. They're the main things I've picked out. We won't be doing all of them this episode. The only things that we will be doing is probably adding the clap on the 2 and 4 just to get some more drums going. Also notice they don't have much white noise and effects going. They probably have just some small crashes and crowds tucked in the background. It's mainly the kick and the melody and the stabs in the forefront taking all the power. So I think what we'll do is we'll find like a nice big clap from Kashmir. I'm not entirely sure which type of clap I'm going for. Probably that one. Perfect. I think this is the one. That will fit perfect. So yeah, it goes on the 2 and the 4. Obviously it's not going to play there. And it continues on. Doesn't play on the 4th one there because of the big snare. And again it plays there, then cuts off right there. And yeah, obviously the fill here is when they do their little signature dun 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 dun. Anything along those lines will fit perfectly. The toms, I didn't really hear many toms, so we could probably turn them down just a little bit. But obviously we're not doing an exact replica, it's just in the style of their track journey. So yeah, next let's look at my list what I've written down. We probably do the filter harmonies. I also found that their leads are incredibly more powerful than mine. They obviously must do some extra processing. They must link another bus to a bus and do some insane processing. But for our CPU storage, we're probably going to have to bounce our leads out. Just because my poor CPU can't handle it. And I want to use FabFilter Saturn, but at the moment I can't bundle a bunch of mixing effects. So for now, we'll do the filter thing, but we won't bounce it with it. We'll make it separate. So let's just get a FabFilter. This one here, create an automation clip. Yeah, we're definitely going to need to layer this up more because when the harmonies come in, it has so much more power and then it goes back to do regular lead. and it just sounds a little more dull, so we're going to need to fix that. And we can just copy this amount because that was a perfect amount. It goes back up, curve this a little bit, and then this will go down quite a bit because this will enter the break, so we want this to be a nice transition. Apologies for the crackling and the bad audio. I'll have to fix that next episode by bouncing a few things out. Even though there's not much to bounce out, it's mainly the leads. We have a lot of leads playing. And I want to add more, which is the problem, so we're going to need to fix that somehow. So, let's mute the stabs for now. And let's turn on Fab Filter just one more time, just get that power back. And then see what it sounds like. So we are getting there. This was quite a messy episode, I do apologise for that. We could probably get a basic chord fill idea. Put that here, we'll make it out of piano, just because it's easier. So we're in the key of E. That's probably what it's going to be. C, D, back to E. Windows button, don't help. So that is the bass note, and then obviously we'll create harmonies. We'll do complete triads of this, so this will be E, C major. This will be D major. This will be E minor. Or we could do a stutter here, so it goes like this. Dun 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 dun. They would just keep it as like that. Perfect. Obviously we'll replace that with some other synths. But other than that, we don't want to make it too long. It's a very messy episode. I do apologise for that. Next episode we'll figure out something. Obviously next Wednesday, if you haven't already realised in my community post on my YouTube story, next Wednesday I'm doing a demo video where if you send your demos or tracks to the email in the description, bbrightzpromo@gmail.com. I'll be picking out some demos. We're doing this once a week, so once a week from now on, we're making like a 10 to 15 minute video listening to people's demos, giving them feedback, and obviously if you featured in the video, give you a shout out. I'll put all the tracks I listen to. If they're released, I'll put them in the description for people to listen to. So check that out. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, smash the like button. Helps the channel grow, makes me happy. I've got a next part 6 will be coming out next Friday, because next Wednesday is the demo video. So I hope you enjoyed that. Once again, I do apologise for the messy structure of this. I just wanted to get the drop a bit more going. We have some sort of idea. We have this chord harmony, some stabs that we're going to mix in. And we added one more kick layer and blah blah blah. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon.